Well, this might be a little bit of a controversial pick. What's going on, everybody? My name is Josie. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about a docu-series on Netflix called Don't Pick Up the Phone, which follows the investigation into a hoax caller who convinced managers to strip search fast food employees across the United States. Now, I vaguely know about this, mostly because there was a film that came out back in 2012 called Compliance that is inspired by these events. And while I think that a lot of these events were shocking, and this documentary plus that other movie is a little bit hard to watch, this event kind of has a conflicting side to me. Everybody's going to pick a side as to how this whole thing transpired, as to how this whole thing could have transpired. And for me personally, I lie in the fact that I think this whole event, not only is it disturbing and hard to believe it actually happened, but to me it's actually hard for me to get into the fact that anybody was able to buy into the events. While I think that what happened was very, very, very disturbing and very sickening, I'm not going to pretend that I know how the situation turned out. I'm not going to pretend that I was in their shoes so I know exactly how they were feeling. The truth of the matter is, I don't know how they were feeling. This docuseries does shine a light on what happened throughout the whole thing, what happened post the events, what happened with once he was captured, what the verdict was, and what actually happened post these events. I know that a lot of people say in the documentary that the caller on the other end was very calm and collected, like he had been doing this for years, as if he was actually a police officer. One of the things that I actually don't know happened was why wasn't anybody able to look at the security footage and just figure out that this is actually not actually happening, that this caller on the phone is not actually a officer. Mostly because there is a segment in this docu-series where it shows how one of the employees, who was I believe 17 at the time, 16 or 17, the caller said that she had stolen money out of a customer's purse or something like that. And so they had her stripped down and basically strip searched her. And my thought process, if I was in the manager's position, is not like do what the caller says, even if he was a police officer, is actually just take a look at the security camera and figure out if it's actually true. If it wasn't true, then I would be on the phone with the actual police officers, and I would say that what they're being accused of didn't actually happen. And so that is where this docuseries is very conflicting, because halfway through this docuseries, I really wanted to just shut it off and not continue to watch it. But as a perfectionist, I wanted to see how this actually turned out, to see if I was able to have a better context in life. Because up to this point, the only thing that I actually had was that 2012 film Compliance. And when I saw that movie, I first saw the trailer when I went to see a movie, and I was actually riveted by the trailer. And then I saw the movie, and I just couldn't get over the fact that this actually happened. Now watching this docuseries and having a little bit more context as to not only what happened with the employees, but also the managers that did these illegal searches, and what actually happened during the trial, and what the overall verdict was, I now have a full context as to how this whole thing transpired. And while it is very damaging and very hurtful for anybody that was involved, I just can't wrap my brain around the fact that this actually happened. That is where this show kind of gets conflicting with me, because there are a lot of things in this docuseries that are very hard to watch, very disturbing stuff. But for me personally, I can't wrap my brain around the fact that this actually happened. The fact that this actually was something that happened. Even when they show footage of what actually happened, it's hard for me to wrap my brain around the fact that this actually didn't happen. And that's going to be probably the consensus around a lot of people that watch this docuseries. Because even though there is that natural hook of this actually happened, it's hard for me to get really wrapped up and really disturbed with this, mostly because it is very hard for me to believe that anybody actually bought that. The fact that this guy did it for 10 years and nobody actually thought to even consider calling hanging up and calling the cops, and or looking at the video footage of the fast food restaurants. And it was just very hard for me to wrap myself around that thing. The fact that they were actually that gullible. Now, everybody's going to be having their own opinions revolving this show and this incident. For me, it's really hard for me to believe that this actually happened, that there were managers that really were this gullible. The fact that they actually did this is very haunting and very disturbing to find out. And I know everybody's going to have their own opinions about what actually happened, what they believe, what could have been different revolving this whole situation. For me personally, I was just not able to wrap myself around the fact that this actually happened. I was not able to wrap it around myself when I saw it, when I heard about the situation back in 2012, and I'm not able to and this documentary did nothing to make me sway my opinions even more from where I had it back in 2012. But those are my thoughts on this docuseries. For me personally, it definitely has a difficult and hard to watch element to the show. But it's just very difficult for me to wrap myself around this whole situation. The fact that this actually happened, and it just, even watching it with this docuseries, it just did not feel right to me. Overall, I will slightly recommend this docuseries. I think for the most part there are disturbing and chilling elements to this docuseries that are very hard to watch, but the overall thoughts for me is I wouldn't recommend it, mostly because it's hard for me to get invested 8 minutes in. 8 minutes in, I was just basically having my palm in my face, and I just could not gravitate to this docuseries as much as I thought I was going to. Even having the whole thing in context, it just didn't work for me. But those are my thoughts on Don't Pick Up the Phone. Have you guys checked out this docuseries? Do you know anything about this situation that actually happened back in the early 2000s? Go ahead and drop those thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this video, do me a favor, click that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on more videos. Click that bell notification so you get notified every single time that a video pops up. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side.